Hello, everyone. Do you hear me well? Cool.
Right.
So today we are going to speak about different proof of concepts for private and public blockchain. Let me introduce my colleague Konstantin. He is from Emercoin project, and I am from Bitfury group. Several words about Bitfury. Probably some of you know that Bitfury is a leading full stack blockchain provider. Why full stack? Because we have hardware division and software division. In hardware division, since 2011, Bitfury develops all kind of equipments for mining bitcoins, from small ASICs to big data centers. In software division, since 2014, we have been developing different software solutions. Right now, we launched 3 of them. First one is Exonum, it's a framework for private blockchains. Lightning technology, which allows to scale any kind of public blockchain. And Crystal is a tool for data mining of bitcoins.
Hey, everyone. So it's going to be the mutual sort of presentation. So we want to just briefly start it with the one baseline behind the blockchain concept. So the company, the worldwide known Edelman, conducted the research called Trust Barometer, which was basically looking for the answer to the question, who do we trust, and how do we trust to some recognized institutions in the world? So they picked up NGOs, mass media, businesses, and governments. And that was the annual research with 33,000 people involved. And the fact is that the results are kind of awful. The point is, year to year, society generally trusts less and less to the major institutions. And the blockchain here is helping to shift the trust which we give to some authorities to the technology which is transparent and decentralized. And I think based on that, we could see multiple implementations and use cases in a multiple operations, starting from business, government, decision-making, and governance generally, which is really important considering the fact that we don't trust the companies or people that we have in the market right now.
A couple of words about, as I mentioned, public and private blockchain. Just want to make a short summary. What is the difference between private and public blockchain? So public blockchain, you know that what is the most famous, most popular public blockchain? Guys from Bitfury, you should know. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, Emercoin, there are many different public blockchains. First of all, the main advantage of public blockchain is security, because there are many nodes, many miners, so it's very difficult to change the information in public blockchain. But there are also few disadvantages, and one of them is performance. So you know that the throughput in Bitcoin blockchain is like 10-15 transactions per second. In Ethereum is up to 100 transactions per second. But there are many cases around the world where this number is not big enough. And that's why private blockchain can provide much more throughput. For example, in Exonum is about 5,000 transactions per second. So a few words about our project. So what is Exonum itself? It's, as I said, framework for private blockchain. Why did we decide to do this project? Because we understood that the number of use cases where blockchain can solve some significant problem is very big. It's land title, it's auction, P2P lending, voting, identity, supply chain, digital rights management, etc. So that's why we decided not to build a specific solution, but to build a framework where we or somebody else can build a solution. So Exonum is open source, exonum.com site, GitHub code, you're welcome, and your team of developers, you're welcome to use this technology and to build your own solution. The main advantage and the main feature of Exonum is that we tried to compare advantages of private and public blockchain. We say that Exonum is as secure as public blockchain as Bitcoin is. Why? How did we achieve it? We use a specific anchoring algorithm. So we anchor the state of private blockchain every 10 minutes or every hour, it's up to client's wish, on Bitcoin blockchain. So even if somebody change some data in private blockchain, we'll see it because the hash of the state of private blockchain will be changed. So it's a way how we can compare advantages of these two types of blockchains. Several use cases. The first one is Setam. Last fall, we launched a big project with Setam company. It's a government auction in Ukraine. They had a problem. People don't trust government, especially in Ukraine. And colleagues, our partners from Setam, asked us for help. They said, we are good guys. We don't manipulate with data, but nobody trusts us. And we decided to implement blockchain as an additional layer for security to their solution. And Premier Minister of Ukraine supported this project, and now it's in production. And I know the level of trust increased a lot because Bituri is a big known company, and really results are great. And right now we are working on similar auction projects in other countries. Next project is Land Title. It's our first project. We launched it 2 years ago in Republic of Georgia. There was a problem when just imagine you have a piece of land, and usually you have a notice or a paper that this land is yours. But sometimes in countries with significant level of corruption, your neighbors or just another person can show you the same paper that this land is not yours, it's his. Yeah. And in this case, you should spend a lot of energy, a lot of money. You'll have some lawsuits and etc. And it's very difficult to prove that really this land is yours. And it's a big problem, not only in Republic of Georgia, but in many countries. And we decided to use blockchain, and now each person can check that the information about ownership of this or that entity is on blockchain with timestamping. And even if somebody will show you a document that your house or your land is not yours, you can check it in blockchain, and it solves a lot of problems. Now we also implemented a similar project in Ukraine. Today, approximately 20 million of records about entities in Ukraine are already in Exonum blockchain. Next project is Aerosand, a very interesting project. We implemented blockchain for a process of development. So in general, it's something like supply chain use case. So probably some of you know that developers are very specific guys, and it's not a big deal for them to change, to manipulate some data, and to hide some things which they want to hide. And with implementation blockchain in this project, we solve this problem because especially in a process when several companies or several parties take part, sometimes it's a big challenge to find the reason or to find the person who has some information or who is responsible for this or that part. And Aerosand company, it's a company from USA, asked us to help them to implement blockchain And these results, which you see, it's not our assessment, is information from RSN. They their feedback is very positive, and right now we are working on a second stage to implement blockchain to other registries and to other parties of their system. Back. Okay. Yeah.
No,
So we also have a project with Coca-Cola. It's a good example of synergy between Bitfury and Emercoin, Exonum and Emercoin, and Konstantin will tell you some details about this interesting project, and I pass the word to Konstantin.
thank you. Yeah, hi everyone again. So so the reason we combined basically presentation is to show the eventual possible synergy between public and private blockchain. Emercoin is a public blockchain which has been started back in 2013. And well, as Alex was asking, like, what's the world best known public blockchain? What's a Bitcoin blockchain? Now, what is the main use case for Bitcoin blockchain? Come on, guys, there's not too many of us. Just shoot. Currency, exactly. That's the payment. So there is a monetary adoption of a Bitcoin blockchain. Well, the implementation or the use case, the possible help of a blockchain is much bigger and broader than Bitcoin blockchain. But in order to do that, to build some actual applications or to do pilots, as Alex was describing, you need to have a little bit different technical features in that blockchain. And that's the main reason how Emercoin was started. So we were trying to look for some business industry standard applications where blockchain can help. And in order to achieve that, we have a few technical features that I'm going to really quickly walk you through. So the first one is the security concern. So we have 3-in-1 mining mechanism. What does Bitcoin blockchain has? Proof of work. Miners, $millions of dollars and stuff like that. Well, the problem is it's awesome, but it could be only one leader. There will be always just one public blockchain that would have it all in terms of the number one. So how would you achieve the security level, which is same or better? So we've combined proof of work and proof of stake. In proof of work, you have your hashing power, you invest it, you get the reward. In proof of stake, in case you don't have any hashing power, you can get the coin, stake it, and participate with the network validation. So we have a consensus of those two both together. And in addition to that, we have a merge mining mechanism, which is Bitcoin blockchain based, which is SHA-256. So when you're mining Bitcoin blockchain, you could do the same simultaneous mining of Emercoin. Well, from us, the reason is we want to have connection, the bridge with the most trusted and monetary secured blockchain, which is a Bitcoin blockchain. The next thing is name value storage. The problem with the Bitcoin blockchain in case of any business applications, it's a bit difficult to store the data. I mean, we all, read that it's awesome to keep the data on the blockchain, but in case of a Bitcoin blockchain, it's a bit difficult because you have a hash rate and it's quite expensive and not really convenient. So we have a name value storage, which allows you to store actual data, the metadata on the blockchain. And that opened us a lot of opportunities to develop some standard solutions. And I'll walk through the services and products that we have. DNS, SSH, everything regarding network security. And we're generally trying to be more business focused. We want to, it's a time when businesses and non-tech companies could start benefiting from implementing blockchain in some particular points of their business operation. As I mentioned, we're a 4-year-old blockchain company, 4 to 5. And what we were doing, we were actually building these services for the particular industries. There's a whole list of them that we have. It's up and running. It's no sort of perspective. It's not a future possibilities. These are existing solutions that we have. DNS, SSH, SSL, those things are related to the network security. If some of you are guys from DevOps background, you know how important it is to work with public keys. And we have the whole infrastructure working for that purpose, being completely decentralized. You're not using some service which is still having your keys and stuff like that. That's a decentralized platform. We have a service called Enumer, which is related to the VoIP, to telecom industry. With Enumer, we are able to cut some middlemen and get a better connection in case of VoIP SIP calls, because when you're calling, there are a few basically middlemen, getting passing the information that that you have, that you're trying to reach, the other party. We store the directory of a numbers on a blockchain, which allows you to have a much better connection directly. And currently, we have a toll-free numbers of U.S., France, and Poland, where you could just simply, go ahead and run it through your phone and call to some, I don't know, Apple tech service. Timestamping and DPO, I'll explain the use case for that. This is where you can have some of your operation points stored on a public blockchain. We are doing a lot of implementations and partnerships. I will talk today about the Deloitte really quickly, since we don't have much time. And I will mention the Coca-Cola case, which Alex was referring to. The Coca-Cola case is the example of a synergy between two blockchains, public and private. So the Coca-Cola has a problem with the forced labor. So they have these bottlers who are, pouring the Coke in a bottle and sell it to you. And those bottlers were recruiting people from abroad, for example, saying, we'll pay you $1,000. When they reach place, they say, no, now you work for $400. And obviously, the whole claims and the issues were coming to Coca-Cola because that's a forced labor, it's illegal and stuff like that. Well, how do you create the solution where public and Coca-Cola, first of all, could validate and keep the record of the agreements signed with the parties which are not directly signed with the Coca-Cola? And that's the project that we did, that we are currently doing. We're creating the registry of labor agreements for the partners of Coca-Cola that could be easily audited, easily accessible, and where some key parties could be the validators, the provers of those records, which is solving quite awesome problem of transparency in terms of the labor with some people that cannot actually fight for their own rights. Because when you're screwed, what are you going to do? There's limited amount of options for you. You could quit and go back home. And in this case, we're combining features that we have on Emercoin side and on Exonum side. From Exonum, that's exactly the throughput, some smart contract features that are available there. From our side, that's the transparency in terms of decentralized option. We have a multiple of those services that will be implemented eventually in a project. And that's a nice way to solve very human-related issue between corporations and the labor. This is just an example of how exactly it's done. It's really fast to deploy. We're doing the tailor sort of turnkey solution for them. And I think that's a great application, a great case of a non-tech company benefiting from blockchain in 2018. Another one is a Deloitte. So Deloitte has built the document management system based on Emercoin blockchain. And the problem they had is that, well, it's not only their problem, it's generally a problem working with the paper docs, because some of them have legal background, and sort of it's difficult to shift it in a digital space. So the issues they had, it's that there are fake documents available. Some people still believe that, if it's on a piece of paper, it's done. It's not. You can copy it. There are so many ways you can, make it disappear and stuff like that. There is loss of documents. There is a waste of time in terms of all that manual process available, and it's expensive. There are some companies, especially large corporations, they're calculating the amount of time and money they're spending on a document. Because the problem is that even if you have that piece of paper, you need to store it, and the archives and expenses related to that are quite big in case of a large scale. So the initial process was you request, there is approval process, there is printing, editing, there is a signing, and after that it goes to some multiple parties who could verify that, okay, this was signed by, I don't know, department or the government authority. With the Emercoin DPO, which is digital proof of ownership, and obviously their in-house development for the doc census, because it's, again, they understand their industry and their needs. They were able to create the product which they're currently using that stores the key points of document moving within some supply chain or some business workflow on a doc census which is connected to the Emercoin DPO. And that is, again, very powerful tool because it's audible. And in case of Deloitte, they are the example of the company that has the trust factor as a significant marketing sort of tool, right? Because they're one of the big four audit companies. And for some reason, society and business and markets has decided that, okay, these guys are more trustful than, company from I don't know, number 50 in a list. And they're trying to shift very sensitive business operations to the blockchain in order to show that now you can trust the system because it's mathematically working the way we cannot play with it. And I think this use case is a good example of many companies will be very soon moving and considering blockchain in terms of that trust factor. Now, this is the
my favorite slide.
It's supposed to be complicated because it looks really awesome. This is the universe that we currently have and some of the things we're planning. And the reason I'm showing this slide on pretty much every event is just to show you the scale of things that could be improved, not change, not disrupt significantly, but simply improved with a very simple but powerful concept of a blockchain. And this is not all blockchain implementation, options or opportunities. It's just what we've done with our products and services. And this is the industries that we are, reaching out and we are trying to improve. And because of an open source format of Emercoin, it's not only our goal and something that we want to do. We have a community, and we're encouraging community from developers side, business side, to know your industry and find a way to improve it with the blockchain. You can make a business out of it. You can develop something. This is exciting time where the concept is switching to the actual applications. And thank you very much. Yeah, I think appreciate it.
We got time for some questions. Any questions?
Like, what's your names again? No?
Questions, guys?
Small note, we have a stand 16, you're welcome. We have several guys there, so we'll be glad to answer any questions, probably to discuss our possible way for collaboration. You're welcome.
Good stuff. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Cheers.